This is using the color range selection tools in Adobe Photoshop, and we're also going to do select and mask with the refine edge tool. So I am in the photography workspace, and in the last tutorial I had shown you that you can get a lot of the new tools when you go to the properties panel. They're usually right here. Now you're not going to see them unless you make this layer not a background layer. Easiest way to do that is just to click on unlock, and you will see that we have the new tools right here available for us. If I were to click remove background, let's see how the Adobe AI takes care of this. It doesn't understand what it's seeing. So I'm going to undo that with Control Z. Let's see if it can handle select subject. Once again, let's try and add a layer mask. It does not understand what we're seeing. Okay, so you might think, let's get rid of the marching ants, Control D. Let's try and use some of the older tools we have, like the magic wand tool. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, Alt scroll my mouse, and let's turn the tolerance up to say about 55, and try to choose this black. Okay, that did a better job than select subject did, but still it's not good enough for me. So let's try a different way completely of selecting. We are going to go up to the select menu and choose color range. So this brings up a different menu for us, and we've got to tell it what color do you want us to try to get rid of, Amy. So you've got to tell it what color do you want to try to get rid of. So we're going to grab the eyedropper and say blue. And it has chosen that specific shade of blue, but you can see that we have many different shades of blue. So I'm going to get the plus eyedropper, and I'm going to add to the selection. So I want you to try to get this, and this is a little bit different over here, a different value. Kind of click around, and when you think you've got most of the different values in this photo, there might be a little bit different down here. You're going to bring up the fuzziness a little bit, and you can see you don't want it to pull into too much. I would say around 55, 56. So that is telling us, of course, white to reveal, black to conceal. It's actually backwards from what we need, but we can invert that. So let's hit OK. And we've got a much better selection than we did before. I'm going to go ahead and add a layer mask. And as I said, that's kind of backwards, but in your properties panel, which of course is right here, if you can't see invert, just make sure that you have it open all the way. And you can just click invert to invert the mask. Now that we have that done, you can see it did a pretty good job, but it's leaving some of the blue in here. So we're going to use the next tool, which is select and mask. Now you can get to select and mask a couple of different ways. If you are on the mask in the layers, you will see select and mask appear right here, and you can click on it. You also will see select and mask at the top of the screen as long as you have any of the selection tools clicked on. So I'm going to click on select and mask. And it's going to bring up a new menu called the select and mask menu. There are several ways that you can view this. Onion skin, you can think of putting a very light piece of paper over it. Marching ants, of course, is the marching ants. Some of these don't make sense, and I don't know why people would use them. Black and white is showing us the actual mask, and you can see that it got a pretty good selection. It's got a few little problems up here. The one that I like to use is overlay, and it's just going to put this color overlay on it. Now realize it defaults to be a kind of pink red color. You can change that by double clicking here. If you have something that has a lot of pink in it and you wouldn't be able to see it right, you can change this to a different color. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Now Alt Scroll should work. If you can't get Alt Scroll to work, you can always use this zoom tool. I'm going to get the second tool down, which is called the Refine Edge tool. And you can make this bigger and smaller right here, or of course, or you can use your bracket keys that will still work. And what it does is it tells the computer, I want you to go back over this area. So you're just going to click and kind of move it around the area. And when you let go, you'll see it has done a much better job getting rid of all of that blue stuff that's in there. Now realize this is very intensive on your processor of your computer, but just give it some time. It's got to think. Make sure to lift up your mouse occasionally. Don't give it huge areas. So just do a little bit and then lift your mouse. And I think you can see already that this area is looking a lot better than this area. Let me go down here to the bottom where we have some white peeking through. You're just telling it, could you please go back and reanalyze this little area for me? This is called refining the edge of the selection. Now realize there's a lot of other choices that you could do that are global choices. Smoothing, feathering, contrast, but that's going to do it to everything. And sometimes we just need to refine certain areas. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of this and let's see what it looks like when we're in the main photo. Much better. You can see the areas, this whole tree and down here I've worked on. And what a little trick that a lot of people like to do is, if you can't see what's happening, is to just make a layer. I'm just going to click on Make New Layer and say Edit, Fill with a color. And, I don't know, choose a color that's kind of bright and gaudy and say OK. And now let's put that underneath. And we're literally just doing that so we can see. I think you can tell the blue is coming through here, but it looks a lot cleaner right here. So that is the Refine Edge tool in Select and Mask. Now what most people use the Refine Edge tool for is hair. So here we have a picture of Miss Jennifer Aniston. And once again, I want to use the Select tools. So I'm going to unclick that and turn on Properties, and you can see we have two choices here: Remove Background, Select Subject. Remove Background is a new tool, and it does very well with her. I'll go ahead and show you what it does. It does pretty well with her, but I would like to refine this a little bit more. So I'm going to back up, Control Z, and just say Select Subject to let the computer get just a basic selection. Then I'm going to go into Select and Mask. Once again, now this is a good choice of why we might want to change the color of our overlay channel, because she's already on a pink background. I like to choose kind of a key green color, and I think that's better because you can see what's happening. So on this, there is a new thing called Refine Hair. I don't really like to use it, but I'm going to show you what it does. It kind of went through and it did do a better job on her hair than what we had. Here, I'm going to turn it off so you can see it before. Do you see down here, it really added all that hair back in. Up here, it tried to fix this. So let me click on it. It helped. I personally don't like it. I'm going to show you on a different photo why it doesn't work all that well. What I would do, I'm going to back up, Control Z. I would do it myself with this second tool, which is Refine Edge. And I would go through so that I could control it a little bit better. Add these hairs back in. And really, you can kind of tell what you're doing. So I would prefer to do it that way. What you can do is use the Refine Hair tool. And this is in the very latest update of Photoshop. Then you can go back and fix it yourself. Now, what I find is these tools sometimes do too much. Do you see here? It's kind of left a problem up here in her hair. It's kind of made it see-through right here. We have a couple things going on. We're going to deal with this see-throughness, but we also have a problem where it happens with blondes is it's picking up the pink of the background color that she was on. So I would go over here to Output Settings and say Decontaminate Colors. And it's going to kind of pull that down. And you see you can output to a new layer with mask. That's the way I would do it. Let's go ahead and hit OK. And you can see it took away that pink cast. But now we got to deal with, do you see that it kind of made it see-through? So what I would do is let the computer do that, then go back to the mask, and you're actually on the mask, get a soft brush, and put it back. So white to reveal, black to conceal. I'm going to flip to white, and then I'm going to kind of put these back. I need a softer brush. Kind of put some of this back so it doesn't look. Maybe bring the opacity down a little bit so we're leaving, oh, I am sorry, I flipped the wrong color. Bring the opacity down so that we're flipping it back or adding just a little bit of that back in there. Over here we had a weird problem, so I'm going to add that mask back in that area so we don't see through her hair. That's the problem with the Refine Hair tool, is it makes everything see-through. Oh, here's a big problem. Turn that up. If you use the Refine Hair tool, it's really going to do weird stuff like this. You have to be careful. Don't just click it and then go, I'm done. Let me show you this on a different photo that it really messes up. So if we were going to try to use, I'm going to use the Refine Hair tool on her. So I'm just going to grab any selection tool, which will pop this up. Select Subject is now here. And let it select. Okay, we've got our selection. I'm going to go into Select and Mask and click Refine Hair. It really made a lot of it see-through. Look at all this that it did. You see the green coming through? So I really feel like Refine Hair sometimes just is too much. Look at how much it's all see-through. That would be better for you to just go through with the Refine Edge tool and do it yourself. So every photo, sometimes that new button just is too much. So these are ways that you can use to make a more refined selection on all your photographs.